evening and welcome to the Financial Report. Asian shares were mostly lower on Wednesday as rising bond yields cranked up pressure on stocks and other investments, undermining the AI-driven rally in technology shares. Bond yields have been climbing as the war with Iran drags on, raising worries over prolonged higher inflation. The Shanghai Composite Index shed 0.3%. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 lost 1.2%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 dropped 1.3%. Elsewhere, British inflation cooled by more than expected in April, but the slowdown did little to mask a tough outlook for households, with global costs from the Iran war set to hit them harder later this year. Daniel Rao tells us more.
According to the British Office for National Statistics, UK consumer prices rose by an annual 2.8%, down from March's annual inflation rate of 3.3%. This helped by smaller increases in household energy and other regulated utility bills than in April 2025, and by measures to lower energy bills introduced by British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves. It marked the lowest reading since March 2025. Economists polled by Reuters had mostly expected inflation to soften to 3%. The expected rise in inflation to around 4% later this year, according to economists, adds to the pressure on British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is facing challenges to his leadership from within his Labour Party. Britain sets household energy bills through a quarterly government price cap, which fell in April, depressing the inflation reading even as global prices move in the opposite direction. The country had recorded the highest annual inflation rate among the group of 7 nations for 10 consecutive months until April, when the US took that position. Most major forecasters, including the International Monetary Fund, still expect Britain to end 2026 with the fastest inflation in the G7. Core and services inflation, the latter dragged lower by energy bills, also slowed by more than expected in April, although cost pressures faced by manufacturers jumped by much more than forecast in the Reuters poll. Motor fuel prices for consumers surged in April, up 23% on the year, the biggest rise since September 2022. Before the US-Israeli war in Iran began on February 28th, the Bank of England said inflation in Britain was likely to be close to its 2% target in April. However, the energy price shock from the war prompted the BOE to increase sharply its inflation forecasts, which it says could hit 6.2% early next year under its most inflationary scenario. British Finance Minister Reeves, responding to Wednesday's data, said she would announce further support for households hit by the energy price shock.
Locally, the Hang Seng Index settled at 25,651, down 146 points or 0.57%. Bucking the trend, the Hang Seng Tech Gauge eked out a modest gain of 0.34%. Afternoon trading session in Europe, the FTSE up 0.1%, the French CAC up 0.6%, German DAX meanwhile up 0.48%. Hong Kong dollar exchange rate is trading at 7.83 against the greenback, British pound at 10.49, Japanese yen at 4.92, $100 of Hong Kong dollars can get you 86 renminbi, Canadian dollars 8.69, Aussie dollar 5.58, Kiwi dollar 4.58, and euro 9.08. And that's the Financial Report. Thank you for watching.